I'm Thomas, and you're listening to the Gracing Podcast. For this episode, we want to preview the Gravel Earth Series 2025. And I don't do it alone as per usual, but I invited probably the best person that is out there to give you the preview, namely Maya Noriega. You probably have seen and heard her before if you watched any of the Instagram content or the live streams of the races that Gravel Earth Series does regularly. And I'm very glad to have you. Hi, Maya.
Hi, how are you? So nice to be here.
Yeah, super nice to have you because I'm actually very, very excited about this edition. But before we jump into all things Gravel Earth Series, I guess the listeners and frankly myself, I'd be curious to learn a bit more about yourself, how you ended up working for Classmark. So for everybody who doesn't know, Classmark is the organizer behind the Gravel Earth Series. I just know from your Instagram account that you ride a fair bit yourself, gravel, and I also saw that you are inspired by Demi Vollering, or you inspired her maybe. Tell us the story of you riding with your dog in a backpack.
Okay, I keep it short, but my name is Maya. I was born in Mexico City, but my mother is from Spain, so I moved to Spain a while ago, like 20 years ago. And I've always loved riding my bike, and especially adventures. So I started cyclocross, and it was pretty similar to gravel. So when gravel started, it was like, wow, nice. We have so many races. And then Gerard started doing the Classmark event for gravel here in Girona. And of course, I was there and love it. And I love the atmosphere of the Classmark events and organizations. So I just started to be a part because Gerard always comes with like ideas. I'm like, okay, we can try that. And I'm just a cyclist lover as he is, and all the organization. It's just like a big family, and it's a nice team to work with.
Do you remember when you went on the first ride where you were consciously doing a gravel ride?
Oh, I've always, like, since 15, 16 years ago, I did a lot of adventures with my gravel cyclocross bike.
Yeah.
And people were looking at me, it's like, why do you come in the mountain with that bike? And I usually always, if I went traveling, I always took that bike because you could do road and then you could do a bit of mountain. And then I go to the US a lot for, like, my mom lives part of the time there. So I started seeing all the races there and just started like riding. And I think that was the first time I did like proper gravel. And then it started getting popular in Girona and then around Spain. And yeah, it's grown so much since we start. Like, I can tell you the second track now, it's just so different.
Yeah, we will definitely get there, but it has grown considerably. But then based on your story, you're kind of a gravel OG almost.
Yeah, I think so. People, looked at me like crazy, and now everybody's doing with those bikes, no? And people, when gravel starts, like, yeah, it's just a cyclocross bike with bigger wheels. So
yeah, I mean, it's the famous story, no? Like, people have always been riding gravel or whatever is nowadays considered gravel. Just the bikes were different and didn't have proper branding.
Exactly.
And probably were not super optimized for the kind of riding we're doing nowadays. But yeah.
Now the new gravel bikes is like, I was on mine the other day. I was like, it's like my old mountain bike. When I started doing mountain bike, it could be my gravel bike now. It's just, you go through so much stuff. It's like, wow, yeah, I can do almost anything on that bike.
Yeah, there is definitely some genre conversion, at least at some end of the gravel spectrum, because gravel, I guess, is still so super wide of a area, which probably is a great segue to start talking about the Gravel Earth Series, because what I'd be interested in the beginning, before we dive deep into races, the contenders of the series, and so on, what is if you would have to introduce it to somebody who is kind of familiar with the Gravel Earth Series exists, but doesn't really know what it is all about, which probably applies to many of the gravel pros in the US and so on. How would you describe it in a nutshell version?
Gravel Earth Series, they're just we're passionate about gravel, and we want for people to feel the same love we have for gravel. So Gravel Earth Series is just a series of the coolest events that take you so you can live an incredible experience. Could be riding your bike in Iceland, riding your bike in Girona, riding your bike in Africa. It's just like this emotions that we feel when we do gravel is we want to spread them around so people like feel the same feelings and same love, and especially the love of nature that we have. So we just want to spread that around the world and become one of the coolest events around the world.
Would it be fair to say that you're right at the intersection between the race and the adventure part of gravel? Is that where you would like to position it?
Definitely. Yeah. It's just
nice.
A really, really cool experience. And it's not just you're going to an event, you're going to just spend some days and nature, people, just those feelings. Now we want to like all of you that are going to experience that.
But most of your events, you would classify them as races, right? Even though some probably officially aren't races because there are issues, I guess everybody in the space knows about.
The permissions, yeah.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about the events is like you can race it if you want to, but you can ride it as well. It's like we want to have everybody the same experience, the ones racing them and the ones that are just want to enjoy it with friends. And
I think it's a cool philosophy because something that I just recently heard, I forgot on which podcast, I think it was the Gravel Union actually, and I did a survey among their members, subscribers, whatever, and they mentioned that like 10% of the respondents did a gravel race or would consider doing a gravel race, something along those lines. So obviously there are a lot of people in gravel who don't line up at the start line, but probably they still do events that are nice events. They just don't race like in the traditional sense of the meaning. And I think it's a good position to be at this intersection to appeal to both type of audiences.
Yeah, I think if you come to any events, you see there's the pros that just want to race and do the best, but also you have the families or the friends that it's their first event. Somebody lent them the bike or they're just renting to see what gravel is all about. And yeah, you see a lot of diversity.
So speaking of diversity, you already alluded to the fact that you have a bunch of races all across the globe. Not all continents are covered, but you have 26 races. Of course, many of them in Europe, but also a fair amount this season. And we will get more in depth about this fact in North America. Several races in South America and Africa as well. So essentially nothing in Asia and Australia, but you still cover a wide geographic territory. How did that come about?
The idea of the Gravel Earth series was Gerard. Classmark's been organizing events for 15 years. So they're really experts at what they do. And usually when they're not organizing, they're participating. So they love on their holidays to go to a new place, do an event, see how it happens, and then learn from how other people do it and then stay in contact. And they wanted to start the Gravel Earth series before the pandemic, but then the pandemic started and everything got slowed down. And then, it's now the third year of the Gravel Earth series and just become bigger. And then we're all learning and see which events work, which events don't work. Now they're like, to become a Gravel Earth series event, you have to there's a list of things you have to have because we want them to be like really special events. So
interesting. What's on this list, for example?
That it has to be 80% gravel, usually not really rocky. It could be rocky, but not like mountain bike rocky. Then it has to be a separate start from women and men. And then it has to be a big group of organizers behind. So all the athletes are taken care of. So yeah, a bit of things.
Any media coverage requirements you have as well?
Yes, for like top events, usually Classmark covers the media and those stuff, and the others they have requirements.
Okay, curious how that turns out, because that to me is one of the big the big parts of how can we bring gravel to more and more people is definitely the presentation, how the races are done. But before we go to this topic, let's probably talk a bit about the races that there are. And because there are so many, of course, we cannot do an in-depth preview of all of them. But probably you can tell us what are the highlights on the calendar and really the events that people should consider doing. Of course, I guess the scripted answer is all of them. They are fantastic. But and then also from like a race perspective, there is the overall series, there is a scoring system, which maybe you can also give a rough overview of how this actually works, because it's different than, for instance, the Lifetime Grand Prix scoring system. And there are some races where you can just earn more points than in others. So
yeah, I think it depends on the kind of rider or the thing you want to accomplish yourself, no, for the kind of event. I love the originals. I think the Rift in Iceland is just like pedaling through volcanoes and through that island is just amazing. And then you go to the Migration Gravel race. No, it's a stage race. You're in Africa. You don't have the, usually when you go for a race or an event, you have a hotel and then everything's more there. You're like staying in the place and moving around. So since the race starts to the end, like it's 4 days of just like living an experience on the wild. And then all the Nordic Gravel series as well, just pedaling in the Nordics they have endless gravel. It's crazy. You go and you pedal and you see a straight lines, like it's spectacular. And then you have the races now in the US the gravel, it's where it started. And then I think Europe, we're more UCI, and then it's more kind of one organization. And then the US is so many different events, and it's like a new world opening up. And then it's nice to see the European riders going to the US and then US riders coming to Europe, because I think I've raced in both worlds and it's just so different, and it's really special in both of them. So it's nice kind of mix. And then also you now have Colombia racing, and then you're racing in Mexico for the second year in Gravel Earth, and then Canada as well. And so many events and different events that, it's just I think a really cool series, because it just covers a lot of the world.
There are, at least in my mind or in my perception, definitely a few like highlight races or super interesting races. Maybe we can go a bit deeper on those. So the second race actually of the series is Santa Val, which is, I would describe it as like the Girona region where it happens. And it's actually a mini stage race, a 2-day stage race, which probably also sets the series apart from the other big well-known series. What is the thing about Santa Val? How many people are coming there nowadays? I think it has become super popular, especially among European riders. And what are the characteristics of this one?
Yeah, Santa Val is really special, especially for us, the locals, because it's where we start the season, no? So everybody's like still training or in the middle of training. So it's where we all meet for the first time of the year. And then we see where we are. No, it's like, oh my God, this has trained a lot. And then this person is here. It's always been our local race. Like I remember when we started, it was just fun race that we did around here with all our friends. And now since last year, it's just the level of Santa Val last year was like, it was like a road race. We started so fast. It's like, what? Like, I think that was my turning point of, okay, this has become really professional. Like now you could see like the big pelotons and then the distance for the back or the middle, like, wow, like the level of this. And then it's where we started also, like the women started a different time and then the men started. So we could really race between each other. And a lot of pros race around here as well. So they use this race to, okay, let's see what gravel is all about. Last year was 3 days, and this year is 2 days. But it's going to be a tough course, and we'll see where everybody is. So it's really special. It's just from 5 kilometers. The start is just 5K from Girona. So we all ride from here to the start. You also see everybody riding to the start. It's really cool to see everybody's with their new bikes, new uniform, new teams. And yes, really nice one to start with.
Can you already name drop some of the riders that are going to start this year's editions?
I think everybody's here. I've been cycling around. We're doing some videos with Gerard, and then we just crossed paths with Clara the other day. G just got back from her training camp with her team, and then Nathan is here as well. And then so like every time I see the list, is whoo. This is getting serious.
Gonna be serious, yeah, indeed. So then if I just look at the calendar and go further, the next super big highlight obviously is the Trucker. And what I hear people say, especially people from the US, is they sometimes describe it as that is like the European Unbound. I guess like in terms of being the most famous European gravel race, that is a fair description. I think, of course, the characteristics are super different from Unbound. What is the Trucker like as a race, as a course?
For us, especially the locals, the Trucker week, because it's a week now. Like we start with events on Monday. There are ride-outs, and I think now it's become like every brand wants to come here, and usually they do the team presentations. And it's like a meetup of, a lot of brands, a lot of teams. There's so many events. Like every day you have 5 ride-outs and then presentations and podcast. And we have a ride-out now. Like the official, we start on Monday. Ride-outs with SRAM and then SIP, and then we do the hill climb, and then Thursday the 560, Friday the 360, Saturday the 200, Sunday the 100. And then they build like in the park in Fontallao, they put all the like events there, and people, it's just a grass field, and then it's usually really sunny, and it's really near the center, so everybody walks around there. It's just a really special week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to experience it probably next year for the first time myself. It's just with the 2 little kids, very challenging for me right now to go away for a longer stretch of time, just for bike reasons. But yeah, I'd be curious to go, certainly. If you would have to say which tires should you pick, what would you give as like setup recommendations to somebody as a non-pro going to the Trucker?
Classmark's routes are always fun because they're fast, but they always have, like, we always think of like, oh yeah, this is Classmark, because there's always like a single track or a descent. Like it always gets a smile on your face because there's always something unexpected.
Yeah.
But I think I've always done it with 40. If you want to go fast with a bit of thread, and then it's pretty fast course. It goes up as well, but you see them race. I was doing the live streaming last year. I could see the speeds, and I've ridden all the courses, and I know how they are. And then seeing all the pros riding, it's like, there's an uphill there. It's like, what happened? Yeah. Like, they're going so fast. And then if you've done it before. I remember
some like technical looking segments. I mean, on camera, it's always hard to judge it precisely, but like I remember like some single track close to the city with some little bridge segment or so.
There's always the last part that's you think like, okay, I'm 5K from Girona. Is this going to be fast? It's like, no. It's a single track. It's pretty doable. It's fun. But you really have to like be thinking about it, because you cannot like, okay, I'm just looking. You have to look ahead. There's like, there used to be 2 logs. Now they cut them, and so it's faster. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It's proper adventure, gravel adventure.
Like from an organizer's perspective, a topic we talk a lot about on here is how it apparently becomes more and more challenging for organizers as these races and events become bigger and bigger to stay like in good relationships with the local communities where they organize these races. And then I've personally actually never been to Girona. However, if you follow cycling online, you automatically follow a lot of people who live and ride in the area, and there is a lot of talk about like the local community pushing back against all the cyclists that always come to Girona. Do you have to make like dedicated efforts to appease the Girona inhabitants? Or is it not even, or isn't it even a challenge for you?
No, it's a lot of cyclists around, and you know how European cities are. They're small, and then their streets are not really wide. It's not America. So the center, it's pretty complicated, and a lot of people walk around. So Girona, what it has that a lot of people don't know, and we did a video for Traca last year, it has, the street has ways. So in one side of the river, you can go south, and in the other side of the river, you can go north. So you have to really know how to move. Now the police has been fining a lot of people because they're doing it, because sometimes people think that if you're on a bike, you can do whatever you want, but there's rules. It's still a city, and there's pedestrians, and the center's pretty small. And especially on the weekends, it gets really, really crowded, like people walking and then kids playing, and cars go through it. Only the ones that live around there, but still there's cars. So you have to have rules. And now they put like a bit of signs that this part you need to walk your bike. So you always see people that are not from here doing it wrong, and then the neighbors just complain about that. And because it's a small center of the city, you see a lot of bikes doing it wrong. So they just get a bit. So we're trying to get this better, and then we'll do a bit more videos for Traca so it gets clear. We'll say it on the briefings that, this has to happen. We need to respect. Now you're coming to another city with people that go to work and they're not here for holidays. So it's just a bit of respect, like everywhere in the world.
Yeah, I guess this topic of rider education and telling everybody that, hey, be nice with the communities that host you here is really important. And then I guess you also followed the story of SBT Gravel and how they really were forced to redesign everything. That is like, if it goes wrong, this even can happen. But glad to hear that it seems not like an acute danger.
No, and it's like we do a lot. We did some videos last year as well, because we go through a lot of fields and different, like you see how diverse Europe is, no? So we go through olive fields, then we go through hazelnut fields, we go through like vineyards, and we go through a lot of the lands. And we love that their products come to us as well, and then they love doing the events we do and being part. Like we tried for all the communities to be part of this event as well. So usually you see all this production or the producers or their products during the Traca week. You can buy them, you can support them as well. So yeah, we love nature, and just we try to help and be part of it. And
which, by the way, is something that more organizers could add to their playbook, because I think if you think about cycling more broadly, and then the most popular event obviously being the Tour de France, there like tourism presenting the stuff that is in the areas where they cycle through has always been a big part and a big draw of the event. It's why politicians like it, why local mayors like it so much, because they can show off their stuff, and finding a way how to also integrate this into gravel and the presentation of gravel makes a lot of sense, especially as you go through these more remote areas and like you described, working with the producers of local produce and building a little stage for them. Sounds like an interesting idea, actually. At least in gravel, it's new. In cycling, it's well known, but
Yeah, you need to go and see the videos because they're super cool, like different producers and how they work on their fields. And I went, especially one last year that I went to the hazelnut fields, and then I did track 100 and was cycling through, and I saw the guy just cheering for us and the family. So yeah, they become part of the event, and that's super nice.
They don't put up any signs like they did around Steamboat.
No, on the contrary, they're like, okay, this is there, and you can have water here. So yeah,
nice.
They get pretty involved, and I think that's a special part of Glassmark. It's a family, and we try everybody to be friendly, family, and get the feeling that we have about cycling and gravel.
Coming back to the calendar, the next, I would say, trademark event in the series is actually then in the mid of July, the Rift. But in between there are many races, and probably you want to point out some that you would also consider highlights. And in between there are also some of the newly added races, which are not necessarily new races. So for instance, one that stands out to me, another stage race, by the way, is the Oregon Trail in Oregon in the USA. That is pretty popular, I think, among gravel people. I've seen very good videos about the entire stage race. It looks fantastic. If I'd be in the US, I would certainly love to do it. So in between Tracker and the Rift, what are additional highlights, and probably talk also a bit about the new races you added?
Oh, for me, they're all special. But one I would always love to do is, as I said before, the migration gravel, because being in Africa and just pedaling and sleeping there in the middle of nowhere, and riding with the animal, I think it's a trip of a lifetime. So I think that one it's not an easy race. It's really tough. And the conditions, I was talking to Lael that she did it like 2 years ago. And she's like, if you go take your mountain bike, it just is brutal. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not an easy race.
It's 4 stages as well, right?
It's a 4-stage race. Yeah. And I think it's a similar feeling as the Oregon, because Oregon, it's also like a couple of days. So it's having a routine, no? You wake up and then you slept in a tent, and then you have, it becomes the whole day for a couple of days, and then how to move your stuff. They give you, I have a lot of friends that went to Oregon, and they tell you, okay, that you have a box, and then you have to put all your material here. You can, maybe if you sign up and did like extra box, you could add 2. So Morgan was saying, if you go another time, you need to add this, because it's pretty special to have a bit more, or the food, because you have to really plan. And these races, like both of them, you really need to plan ahead, because there's a couple of days, a lot of things can happen. So I think that the trip of a lifetime.
And these, so looking at like the migration gravel stages, they are long and hard stages, especially if they also conform to your 80% gravel rule that you demand. Then you have like 150k, 170k, 140k, 150k, and then between, first stage only 600 meters of elevation, but then 2.2k, 1600k of elevation. So these are hard days, I would assume.
Yeah, definitely. They're not easy races. None of them. Like, I think people think gravel is just, 100, I can do that. But it has a lot, and then it takes a toll in the body. It's different, the vibrations, how you carry. And then you have to have a bit of like technical, no? You could see the road racers come like, oh, they're not used to it. Or you can always like see the mountain bikers coming to gravel, and they have the technique, and they do a bit better. So it's pretty special gravel because of that. It's becoming they're becoming all the cyclists to gravel, and it's just come pretty special.
Yeah, and like you say, right? If you see 170k and you come from a road background, maybe it's not that much, but on gravel, distances are different.
Yeah, definitely. And then, yeah, like if it was for me, I would do all the events. It just like every time I see, I would do, yeah, I'm trying to go to the US and do a couple of them because, yeah, they're different. They're special. Sometimes in the US, like Europe has a lot of towns and you're always near a city or near a town. But in the US, I found that's different. You're in the middle of nowhere. And sometimes there's not even a town or one restaurant and different planning, more driving. Yeah, just I always
very different infrastructure than in Europe, just because it's such a super huge country. The US is.
Yeah, everything, and another thing that I was talking to the pros and do the calendars. They're okay. I can do this, but then you don't think of the traveling. Like traveling takes a toll, so you really need to plan the races or the events you want to do, so the traveling doesn't take. Because G was flying to Iceland last year. She flew for the Rift. The bike didn't get there. But then Gerard was coming and 2 days, and so friends were picking G's bike. So that takes a bit of toll, and sometimes you're not like that concentrated that you should be. It just, the traveling with the bikes is always an adventure by itself.
Yeah. And I mean, even at the top end of gravel, unlike in road where you have teams taking care of all the bikes and travel organization, most girls and guys in gravel are still privateers, and even those who are on teams, that's not comparable to what we know in the World Tour. So yeah, that is definitely an added layer of stress, frankly.
Yeah,
for everybody.
Another thing that I've been seeing around here, there's a lot of privateers, but you see that they help each other as well. So if you know a friend is going and then they team up, they help each other. Maybe they take a photographer. Maybe they have somebody doing their aid station and they help out and do for the other. So it's pretty cool to see. Like it's a big community, but small enough to help each other and know everybody.
Yeah. On that note, two guys who I have on my list for the people to watch for your series as well, who just announced they launched their own team, Drew Dillman and Chase Walk, two of like the not top end racers, but very well known on social media gravel guys in the US. They are putting together their own little 2-man team to tackle various races, including some of the Gravel Earth series. So before we continue with the other events on the Rift, something that we didn't really get into, and I think it's important to explain to the people, especially the ones who are a bit more on the racian of the side, how does the point system for the series work and how is it different from Lifetime? So especially our listeners in the US, I guess the format they are familiar with is Lifetime. So there you this season will have 6 races. You can drop one, you need to do all the others, and you need to take points from 5 of the events. Now, of course, you don't do it this way, and with 26 races across the globe, it wouldn't be feasible for I guess, for nobody to do it this way. So how does the scoring for the series work?
Yeah, we changed it from last year because last year was 2 races that scored, but this year is going to be 3 races and the final, that is Rancho. Mm-hmm. So to be able to be visible for the series, you have to be in the final, that's Rancho, and then do 3 events extra that get points. We have the events that start at 1,000 points and then go 960, 920, 890, 860. And then there's some races that have 10% more of the points. And then the top that have 20% more of the points.
Which are the top races this year?
This year is going to be Traca, but the top Traca race is 360. So 360 has the 20% points. And
that is, by the way, interesting. Let's stay there for 1 second. So there used to be a kind of divide between people which one, the 200 or the 360, should be the most important one. And I think last year you didn't really take a stance, maybe with coverage because only the 360 was live streamed, but otherwise, like many pros did the 200 and then some the 360, and I talk about like top pros. And this year you made it just by the point system clear that if you want maximum points, you have to do the 360, so the really traditional long distance. How did that come about? Was there a lot of internal discussion, or came it natural to you?
No, Gerard's always had a clear 360 because it's an adventure and it's always a bit more distance that anybody is used to. And it's 360 is the heart of, the tracker. It's just a proper adventure. And it's, if you haven't done even the track, you have to do it because you go through really special places and different kind of places. So you do a bit of everything. Mountain, flat, beach, everything. So
nice. So, okay, back to the point system. So Tracker is the first like 20% more points race, the 360. And then which others?
Let me be clear. It's Migration, Oregon Trail, Gravel Worlds, Rancho. And that's the one that have 20%.
And for
Tracker,
these
360, Oregon, Migration, Gravel Worlds, and Rancho.
And for the stage races in there, regardless of if they give more points than others or not, how do you handle the scoring there? Is it like for the overall GC, or do you get for individual stage wins, you also score points?
No, it's for the overall.
For the overall. Okay.
So that's why I think it's pretty important to plan, because every rider has his strengths. And then, I think it's going to be pretty tactical, especially with doing 3 and then the 4th on the final and then so many events. But it gives chance to a lot of people. And also this year, there's also going to be, it's a pro category, but there's also going to be age groups. So plenty of people can participate and be part of the series and the final and the standings and the scoring. So
nice. This one I didn't know. So age groups you add as well. I love it because that, like, for the people who also want to be competitive but cannot be competitive at the elite top end level, that is a pretty good addition. And I think that probably the one thing that the UCI, because it's in their heritage, did very well as the first big series.
We're excited to see how it goes and having more people and more friends come and do the events.
Nice. So, back to the points for the stage races. I'm a big fan of having stage races in the series because, as you say, it's a different rider type that can do really well in stage races, and that has always been an important part in cycling. And I don't understand why it shouldn't be in gravel and even competitive gravel racing. So I like this fact a lot. Then how you handle it from a points perspective, probably you will see some experimentation over the years with this, because it's interesting, right? Should a stage win count for something, or only the overall? If you do 4 or 5 hard stages, then but interesting. And going with GC, I guess makes sense as a decision to start with, and then let's see how you handle this in the next years. But that being said, like if you think you're the kind of rider who does super well in long stage races and over time because you don't fatigue, then probably put these in your event selection. And talking about event selection, so it seems to me that you made a very deliberate effort to have more races in North America and particularly in the US this year. And I guess my assumption would be this also relates to how you handle the series and the scoring. I would assume you want to make it easy for North American riders to really participate and compete in the series by having 3 races where they don't have to travel to different continents and collect the points to then qualify for the Rancho final, which obviously is then in Spain, in Europe. Is that a good assumption?
Yeah, as we said, I think the US is the one that started with gravel. So we want to be part of that world. It's just so special. The gravel is different. The events are amazing. The community has been around for a long time. So we want to open the doors for Europeans to go there, for Americans to come and experience the world as well, because to see how different everything is, and then give the chance to be part of the series. Every event in the US, it's super different. And then, it's always been the place to go for gravel. So
definitely. And I what I find very interesting is the strategy you chose. So instead of establishing new races or working with small organizers, you really picked some of the, let's call it the independent calendar highlights to work with, or they pick you. I'd be curious if you could elaborate a bit on how this all came together. But so you have Lost and Found gravel. We already talked about Oregon Trail. You also added the Gravel World, so not the UCI one, but this year Lauf Gravel Worlds. Back then it was Garmin Gravel Worlds. And you also have like Rebecca's Private Idaho, I think also one of the very well-known independent gravel races, or formerly independent gravel races, and Core 4 as well. So you added all this to your calendar, and I don't think that you went the way of acquiring the races, but you collaborate with the local promoters who still own the races technically. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. If you, like, anybody that's done a Glassmark event knows Gerard and Christina, because they're the heart of these events. And I think they are the reason the events are so special, because they put their hearts out, and then they try to involve everybody, try to talk to as many people and a lot of people, bring them to their house. They're really friendly and supportive. And like anytime you speak to them, you see how they love it. And I think the people around feel it as well. And I think that's what they did with the US events. It's kind of the same kind of people that organizes those events. They're their races. It's their hearts and their work and their efforts that's gone through those races and those organizations. And that's what Gravel Earth Series wants to accomplish, to have the best circuit in the world, with this like really special events. And we want like everybody to feel that special. So.
And like when, I don't know who approached whom, but I would assume, looking at it from the outside, you say, okay, we want to be in the homeland of gravel. We want the good footprint there. We want to enable these riders who, let's be frank, like the most famous gravel riders, they are the US ones, even if they are probably not the best ones. If you look at Watts, they are still the ones who really drive forward range. And it makes sense to have them compete in your series. And one example where probably this strategy already paid off is Pete Stettiner, who said he will not do Lifetime this season, but focus on different stuff, including Gravel Earth, the Gravel Earth series. So that is quite interesting. Now you approach these independent promoters, or conversation starts, and you say, look, become a part of the series. I guess at some point they will ask why. What is the answer you give at this point?
That's always the secret with Gerard. Like,
okay,
I think it's been both ways. No, Glassmark contacting them. Sometimes it's them contacting a Glassmark, and that's a really one-to-one. And I have nothing to do with that, so I don't know that secret. Okay. Still, Gerard has never told me, but yeah, I would love to hear the stories on the other end as well.
Because to me, it would make sense, right? Also from the independent promoter's perspective, because one thing that I kind of see and fear kind of is consolidation in the event and race market coming, because there are, especially in the US, it exploded. It became so big, so many races, so many events, and just to keep them going will become more challenging, and then being part of a series that provides like this overarching framework, but also narrative, right? People who want to follow this, sure, there is the side of I want to be an active participant. I probably pick a race not too far from my home and I do it as an event. That is the one side. But then the other side is like people following gravel more as a sport, and also discovering events they want to do based on the fact they see pros doing it. And from that perspective, like an independent race like Rebecca's Private Idaho, probably it really can benefit and increase its longevity, so to speak, even though I think they were not struggling by any means before. But I guess it makes sense, especially if they then don't have to sell what they've built. If you describe the philosophy of these organizers who really care about the events they are doing, and they are probably not in there only to make it as big as possible and then sell to somebody, but they host it. And I think it's a good opportunity that ideally is like the quote unquote win-win situation.
Yeah, I've been contacted by a lot of events that want to be part of it. It's like, how do I do it? And yeah, as you say, it's a win-win. And we just want to get more people on gravel, more people on bikes, more people enjoying the nature and taking care of it. So,
do you think there is a upper limit of events that a series should have?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
It's something that started that we want to be as big as possible and special as possible and accomplish a lot of things, but you have to take it year by year and see how everything works. This year, Gravel Earth Series doesn't have a sponsor of a bike because we want to be more about the athletes, about the places, about the events, and have a bit more freedom now of like, if somebody wants to push, like, don't be limited to not being able to do it. So we just want to push a lot, like, let the athletes be the protagonists.
That I guess makes a lot of sense.
We also want to try and live stream or TV as much events as possible, but this it costs a lot of money. So we're trying to get more people on board that help out with this, and just make it as big, and then also have more prize money like Lifetime does. No, try to give the athletes, like, that's the objectives we want, and we want to try it to do year by year, and getting better, learning a lot of stuff from different organizers, from different races, how everybody does it. And
something we also touch upon regularly here on Gracing is the media coverage. So you already said that you want more live streams, more broadcasts, and you already mentioned also the minimum requirements list that you have. Like, how do you think about the coverage side in general? Do you think TV is the way to go? Do you think like native online live streams like you do? You have these YouTube live streams. To me, as a watcher, viewer, fan of the sport, I think that is by far the best format, because like it works. It's better than many of the players, and I don't think there is like proper. I don't think gravel is big enough to get proper TV revenues. But then in sports, it's the go-to move if you can sell TV rights to anyone. But I think gravel, in my mind, is still too early, not mature enough for this move. But still, getting the races, the visuals, the experience out to people is super critical. And then how do you do it for your events, and what do you expect or would like others to do? Do you support independent races to do it well?
Every race has their way of doing it. And Traca races, we're trying to live stream all of them. I think for Rancho, we did a pretty good job. We had coverage almost all the race. We followed since the beginning of the women to the finish of the men. So that was incredible to see. You get to live everything since what happened, what broke, who stood out. So I think that's the way to go for now. and we're trying to do it as many events as possible. But
what is the production setup you use? Do you do it with bikes, with motorbikes, e-bikes?
We do it with moto e-bikes.
Motor e-bikes. Makes sense.
With some riders that have the cameras on the helmets. We're going to try a new system this year.
Okay.
With the cameras to see. Just we're testing. And we work with Evasión TV. They have a really good team. And just since the first year I did it to Rancho, I think everything has gotten better, and it's really nice to hear that
just
people
last
watch.
Season, the difference between the Trucker live stream and the Rancho live stream, it was definitely progress between these two. Yeah,
because we're all learning.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I guess that is one of the key challenges in the space, right? Even like just really deep technical stuff, how to get the signal out there. Do you go with like satellite internet? Do you do more traditional broadcasting technology? It's not simple if you're in remote areas. I mean, even like some Tour de France or Giro stages, the signal breaks down. So you can imagine that it is challenging.
Yeah, that's a problem we have with Traca. There's a part of the middle of the course of the 360. There's no coverage at all around there. So that's why we usually started when they're over that part, and then we can almost do the last parts like whole without breaking. But it's always. But new technologies come around, and then hopefully we get the best streaming we can possible for the next ones.
I mean, to me, it's really good to see that is also important on your priority list, how to bring it out to the people. Because of course, like Lifetime also cares a lot about this, but then there are others. If you, for instance, compare like individual UCI World Series races, many of them, even on Instagram, you cannot really follow them and you don't know what happens. And I think that really decreases the accessibility and the how you approach it, especially with live streaming. I think you're even earlier than Lifetime is, because you now have like, did you start last or the season before last? With live streaming, I think 2 years ago you had.
Like, 2 years ago, yeah.
So you have this under your belt already, and then let's see what 2025 will do in terms of this. But that is, to me, really important. We
want to get gravel scene like for as many people as possible. That's the objectives.
So back to the calendar. We briefly touched upon the Rift. I think it's also one of the races that is globally renowned. Many US people do it and come to it in Europe. I guess it's on most gravel folks' bucket list. So people know it. But what is the quick overview of the race?
It's Iceland. I think everybody has Iceland in their bucket list. Yeah. And then they put a gravel race for you. Is what else can you want to do? Look, travel to a really cool place, do a gravel race that it's really cool organized. The sign up, it's so hard to get in because everybody wants to do it. So it's not an easy race to get to. It's just so unique. The place, the organization, it's a whole different world. You're pedaling, crossing rivers, really cold rivers. Then the gravel is different, it's rocky. And really, really special race.
Have you done it yourself?
No, it's always been on my bucket list. I almost did it 1 year, but then the pandemic came. So nope, not for me.
Okay.
I tell you, I want to do them all if I could, or even live streaming. It was like just being there and riding my bike and then doing the live stream. So why not? Another that we haven't talked about that I think is going to be incredible this year is the hills. Because Mattia De Marchi has been doing, I think he is the ambassador of Traca. I remember 1 year he did the 360, the 200, and all of the distances. Why not? He won that one, then he did the 200. And it's just a person that loves cycling and it's just in his blood. And then he's doing these events, the hills.
Okay, I didn't know that he puts it together.
Yeah. So a lot of people, I think, are going there, and yeah, I'm really excited to see how it goes, and if it's possible for me to go, I would like definitely be there. So I recommend for anybody listening as well that
it's in the Treviso region, and I know that that region is famous for another race, but I don't remember which one is it. It's not Strade Bianche, no? What is in Treviso?
I don't remember.
Me neither. Let's continue then. Okay, so we touched upon this one. Now, what else after Iceland is iconic in your mind? So Gravel World as a race is definitely, to me, super iconic. It's well established. People know it.
Sorry, the question? I didn't.
No, there was no question. I say to me, Gravel Worlds would be the next one, but it's already well known. So maybe you have another one that you think is...
Yeah, I saw a lot of things about Megre Gravel last year. Like people that went there were really impressed and had a great time.
I know nothing about it. What is like the summary of this one?
Yeah, it's the organizers had become really good friends with Gerard, and he puts a race in Lithuania. It's called Megre Gravel, and you never expect, but the terrain and the gravel and the atmosphere there is pretty cool. So yeah, another one to put in your bucket list, because it's a not well-known race, but a lot of people were really happy with that one.
Nice. And last but not least, we have, of course, the big Rancho Gravel final, which also, if you compete in the series, you have to do this race. So it's the one place where everybody comes together to close their season, probably, as it's at the end of September, I think this year on the 28th. Why did you pick Rancho as like the final for the series?
Rancho was always the one that closed the season of gravel here in Spain. And it's a special place because it's in the middle of it's a town in the middle of fields. There's not really a lot of hotels or places to stay. So I've always camped there since we started doing the race. And you have options. You can camp, you can glamp, you can stay in the little houses around, or just go to a farther hotel. And it just, when there's nothing around, I think it brings people together. Mm-hmm. So you're all there because there's nowhere else to go as well. And then the community, it's called Rancho because that's a stew that the people from there prepare. It takes them like half a day to prepare it. Okay. And that's how the name came to it. So Rancho is a stew from that region, from Pons.
What's in the stew?
Ooh, there's meat. So they always have to do a vegetarian option that I can try.
Okay.
But yeah, it's potato and meat and just, I think it's, how do you call it? Garbanzos, chickpeas.
Chickpeas.
And then, it's just slow cooking. And then you see the old people from the town, they bring those tools, they put the logs and then the fire. And then they start. The first year I was camping just in the start. And then I started hearing stuff. And then I came out and then people started cooking at 5:30 or 6 a.m. And then the race didn't start to finish till 1 or 2. So it took them a while to cook it, but they were there doing it. So it's another
And then
thing.
You get it at the end if you...
Yeah, and then you get it. Both options, vegetarian and non-vegetarian. And that's what you said. It's like bringing the community. Like Rancho is the event for that region. And then we try to make everybody try the local products. Also the people that do this to come here, get everybody involved. And it's really, really nice region because you have longer gravel. You could see 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers in front of you. It's just like rolling hills, a bit more looser gravel. Mm-hmm. And then you see the fields and then the tractors in the middle. And it's pretty special.
Do you
They're
remember,
all really unique.
do you know when was the first edition?
Yep. I think this is going to be the 5th edition of Rancho.
5th edition. And
yeah,
I assume there is not, you don't know what the complete number of people is going to be this year, but just in terms of scale, how many were there in the beginning, and how many people do you have now, or did have last year, if you know this?
For the same for
I guess
Chaka.
it grew massively.
Every year it's been doubled. Like since we started Chaka, it just doubled. Like maybe the first Chaka was 120, then like it's just been doubled. And then this year, I think everything is sold out.
So something that you always see in all kinds of events, whether it's cycling events, music events, art events, whatever. Once they get big, people say, especially those ones who attended the early ones, oh, it changed, it lost the vibe. How do you try, especially if you tell this story about like the food you camp in the morning, people start cooking this, that's hard to scale to, I don't know what the number is this year, 2,000, 1,500, whatever, to a lot of people. Which efforts do you have to make on the organizers front to maintain the original vibe?
Yeah, try not to make them really, really big. You want to get to a number that everybody can have the same experience. So it depends where the event is, because Rancho not get as big as Chaka, because the town and the site doesn't fit that many people. So yeah, it's not an easy one. It's difficult, but
I mean, that is where media
events.
comes into play, because like traditionally in events, of course, the way how you scale them is you make more people attend, and keeping it small. Okay, you can also do this, but then you have to raise the price by a lot, and that is certainly something, or I would assume that is something that only works up to a certain extent in gravel and cycling more broadly. But of course, media, if you manage to build out this media presence for yourself, for your events around the riders, that unlocks new opportunities with sponsorship, advertising, and so on. And I think that is cool, because then you can have smaller, limited events that still have the vibe, but you can still grow by different means.
Yeah, and that's what, like, Classmark's been organizing events for more than 15 years. And I think that's one thing they've always done really good. Like, if you see any event of Classmark, you have the best photos. There's so many photographers. And then by the end of the event, you have your photos. And then
it looks pristine on social.
Yeah, they do a great work. It's a really cool team to work around. They've been there for a long time. Everybody knows what to do, what's their job. And Gerard loves like new ideas and trying new things. So it's pretty fun always to work with him, because he just gets this crazy idea out. It's like, okay, let's see if this is going to be possible, So yeah, it's pretty fun and great team. And he's always pushing to be better, do more.
Do new stuff. So that's a good segue to a question that was actually asked on our outside Discord. So for those of you who don't know, if you support us on Patreon, you also get access to our community Discord, and there you can do many things, connect with like-minded people, but you also can ask questions. And this one here is from Mario. He asks, is it realistic for a race to take place in Germany, and what needs to be done to make it happen? Does it have to be an established race, or could it be an entirely new one? What are the requirements in this regard? So the requirements part you already answered earlier when we talked about this, but yeah, is it realistic to have something in Germany, or?
Yeah, I think Germany is a really cool, incredible country. It has a lot of nature. And I used to work for a German company and know how they love the outsides and just love the nature, and try to do any sport they can, or just go into nature. And I think so. I don't know if it could be a new one, or maybe a more established one that already has like a big team around. Because, organizing stuff is not easy. It takes a lot of people,
especially not in Germany, because like all the permits you need and the security requirements here, I guess it would make sense to have a partner who does it at a high level already.
Exactly. And as we said, the requirements, we take care of the well-being of everybody. So the organization has to have this in mind and have everybody protected. And it has to be a safe circuit. And then, a lot of, structure around. So, but they can always get in contact with us, and then we can share the requirements and maybe help out in the way we can to make it happen.
Nice. So I guess we went as deep as we can in like a podcast that cannot go for 10 hours into the races. Let's talk a bit about like the riders to watch for the 2025 season. And the question that I have, because you having this more open format with like you just have to score points in 3 races and you can pick freely from the calendar. Unlike, for instance, in Lifetime, you don't know who is going to compete in the series for sure. Of course, you know who is on the start lists of the different races, but do you already have like all the pro start lists completed until the end of the season?
No. And that's the beauty of it, because it's pretty unpredictable. There's a lot of riders that do the events at the beginning and then have about a lot of points and are in the first places. But then there's others that do the last ones. And then there's a lot of like local racers that do the local races that you don't know about. And then last year was, especially Santaval was a surprise about a lot of people doing. It's like, oh, I didn't know this one. Oh, I didn't know that one. So it's the race to watch to see who's there. And then I think this year, as you said, the ones in the US, because there's a lot of local riders that we don't know. They can do 3 races and then come to Rancho that maybe nobody's been riding with them. So it's going to be a special year to watch everybody and to be seeing how every pro chooses their race, their tactics. So 3 races and the final, I think that's a pretty good way to have it equal. And I think it's going to be decided at the end, like this year, last year. So
still, I did do a bit of digging around and seeing who is kind of publicly already committed to the series or stated they will at least have it like as a side goal to do the series. And there are some pretty interesting names, at least in my book. Let's probably start on the women's side, and then you can tell me if I'm missing someone, or probably they are not going to do the series. But so first I went by teams, because there is such a thing as teams increasingly in gravel, which also brings a new dynamic. And so I would say the top team, one of the top teams definitely is PA Racing, and they obviously have last year's overall winner Carolina Migon. I think she's going to go for the series again this year. At least I didn't find information to the contrary. There is on this team also Emily Newsom. So she didn't get into Lifetime, but I also heard that she applied for a wild card. So I don't know if she's going to do the series, but if she will do Gravel Earth Series stuff, also some force to reckon with. And also on PA Racing is Morgan Aguirre, who was the 3rd last year. So really strong lineup they bring to the table in my mind. And then on a new team, which probably not all listeners have heard about, but there is now a classified Rose. Rose, you would probably say as an English-speaking native, but it's actually Rose. It's a German direct-to-consumer brand that is really good in gravel and really focusing on it. And they have a Canadian rider called Lucy Hempstead. She does road racing and gravel racing, and she apparently is pretty good in both. So she's on my list. I don't know if you know her and her focus, but I would assume that she is going to do a fair amount of Gravel Earth Series stuff.
Yeah, I've heard of her. Don't know it really closely, but yeah, that's what I say. There's so many new ones, new teams. I'm excited for the beginning to properly see how they start.
And especially in what is interesting in North America, I think gravel becomes a vehicle for young riders to build their name, their brand, and then probably even go to other disciplines, because there, like here in Europe, we still have an established talent pipeline and way for younger riders on the road to want to go to World Tour and become pros there. And I think that has gone away in large parts of North America, and that is why you see also moves like Lifetime now has this under 23 program, whatever the details we don't need to discuss here, but I think looking at it as a talent identification pipeline becomes also really relevant in gravel. And yeah, like probably the more open format that you provide is even more relevant for this, because you can just quote unquote go to the start line, do well in the races, and then your name can be up in some rankings.
Definitely agree with that. It's a new sport, but it's bringing, a lot of cyclists to this community.
And then the other riders that are not riding for teams, but still traditional privateers on the female side, for me, is Sarah Sturm. I think she's going to do, especially now that you have this strong North American presence. Again, last year's second finisher. Then Clara Sophie Skofgard Hansen, last year's fourth. I think from the way I see it, she's no longer on par racing as she used to be.
No, she just announced that she's racing for Canyon.
Oh, okay, interesting. This I missed because I checked this out a few days ago. So she must have just done this. Cool. So yeah, she definitely, if she stays in gravel, or does she go World Tour Canyon?
No, she stays in gravel. She's really excited about this. It's something she's been dreaming of. And then, having Canyon on board and just being a real professional. She has a talent. She trains so hard, and you always see a smile on her face. And it just
even like with big injuries.
Yep, she is a crazy descender. Like, she loves mountain biking, and the way she descends on gravel is like scary to see. So sometimes she falls. And the other day she fell on the road. She was like, oh my God, I fell in the road. How? Like, usually happens, because I think you're more concentrated on the gravel because something can happen. And then the road's like, oh no, nothing can happen. And then,
you slip.
Yeah, take a look at her, because I think she's a really good potential for the series this year.
Yeah, definitely. And last but not least, I have Dani Shrewsbury on my list as well. Finished 5th last year. And this, I think, amid some sponsorship issues, uncertainty that she had last season. And I think for this season, she's well sorted out with her entire setup. And of course, she's also a great rider. So let's see where she goes. And any name that is missing that you think we should also following and have on our lists?
Yeah, I think G.
Yeah, she. You know that she's also going to do.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. She wants to. Last year she had. She was doing pretty well, but she had an accident, so she had to have an operation, and it went slower than she expected to recover. But I've ridden with her lately, and she's just so strong. And I think she's aiming to win the series, because
it was her who went like for a long time solo in the 360, and she was chasing.
No, they were together, Caro and her. They were
together. Okay.
Yeah, but Caro pushed a bit more in the El Semelles on the last climb, and then she did a bit of a gap, and then G couldn't close it at the end.
Okay.
But G got second, and then this year she's still deciding if she wants to do the 360 or 200. And then I've been talking to a lot of them, and then it's just difficult to get organized and what you want to do, how you want to do it, and especially being privateers, no?
So by the way, for the listeners, if you don't know who we are talking about when we talk about G, I think she's called G because her last name is so hard to pronounce, and you actually say the
her name is Jaricke.
Yeah, but isn't it like Henrique, like the G?
Yeah.
Pronounced like an H or so. So it's really hard to pronounce. That is why everybody goes for G. But
yeah, G, and she likes to call herself or the friends the giraffe because she's so tall, and then everybody loves riding behind her on the flats. She's just a machine. So.
Okay, these are these details that are harder to pick out from live streams than from actually being around the races.
Yeah, it's nice to be in Girona because you get to ride with a lot of them. And even if they don't live here, they try to spend 1 week or two to see the courses, to ride them around, because everybody wants to know the Traka course or the course they're doing, because it does give you an advantage. So it's nice to find them during the course and seeing everybody's doing it. And then Gerard always goes and change a bit at the end. So it was, we did the last part. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool community around here.
So with that, let's jump to the men's side, and I can run my little list by you, and you tell me who I'm missing.
Sorry, I'll just make a point. Before we switch to the men, I remember that Annika Langbard is going to try and do some of the events of the Gravel Earth series. And I think if she's back racing, she is a complete athlete and she loves winning stuff. So yeah, we'll need to take a closer look for her, because I think this is going to be pretty interesting to see.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So, man, again, let's start with the names from teams. I already mentioned Classified Rosa, and I think on the men's side, they have a very interesting lineup, which is former World Tour breakaway specialist Thomas de Gent, and also Piotr Havik, who last year at Unbound, I think, finished 4th, 5th. So definitely in the very front of the race. So to me, definitely two names you can have up there. Let's see how Thomas is going to fare in gravel. I think from an engine perspective, he definitely can play with the best of them. Then he's also himself on the record saying that this season is for him also to getting used to the racing, doing more off-road stuff. But definitely an interesting person to follow, with especially making this transition, right, from World Tour and being someone who did very well there, straight to gravel. Interesting move.
Yeah, I think we'll see more of those moves in the future.
And what I would also be interested in is, like, currently the theme is like you quit your career and then you do gravel afterwards, which, of course, especially if you come just out of World Tour, you're still at a very, very high level athletically, but also especially with, or only so far, mostly only with UCI Gravel Worlds and Unbound. We sometimes see folks from the road jumping over to do gravel. And this is actually something I'd be curious to also see more, which, again, it doesn't work for something like Lifetime, which is a closed format, but with the Gravel Earth, for instance, it would be feasible, right, for World Tour folks to say, hey, I'll do a race here and there, just if it fits in my other racing calendar. Because obviously this will never be the priority. But yeah.
Yeah, they do it. We see a lot of them, especially Traka or Rancho. Verona always comes to some events if he has a chance and the team lets him do a bit of on the calendar. So, yeah.
I mean, I hear stories that certain World Tour teams will send their riders to more gravel racing. I heard it in particular about Bahrain Victorious. I guess also driven by the fact that they have not the current but former champion in Matej Mohoric on their roster. And I think he's interested in the format, but still interesting to see that it actually happens even on this level, that now I assume sponsors push for it or something drives them to send riders to gravel races.
Yeah. If the team lets them, it's pretty appealing for them. It's just different kind of racing.
Different kind of racing, different environments. Yeah, definitely. So of course, also on the men's side, power racing, a force to be reckoned with. Last year's winner, Simon Nordahl Svensson, I guess, again this year, a strong contender. And Tobias Kongstad, also pretty good rider.
Yeah, PAS is always a really strong team. And I think it's one of the biggest teams of gravel. And last year they showed that, just traveling around, helping each other and doing it as a team, it was pretty good tactic.
As like a race organizer, how do you think about teams in gravel? Do you think it is a good thing? Do you want more of it? Do you think it's a bad thing? Because obviously by defining rules and regulations around these races, you can make it more or less friendly for teams.
It just gives you options. You saw in PAS team, no? They were racing to win, but sometimes helping each other. Yeah. So I think that it was also good to see that they travel to races together, to some of the races. So you have a mechanic and somebody that plans it for you, helps out. That, as we know, for privateers, it's a hard part to do. It's a big job. So that part of the team structure helps out, taking a bit of stress off the riders. Some races they help out, some races they do individual. But at the end we saw that it was pretty good for the team. They won both categories and the Graveler series, and you could always see their presence around.
Yeah. And I mean, the other area where teams help riders is all the business and sponsorship side of the game, because not everybody who is a good rider and athlete also wants to take care of the side. I think it's good in gravel that we see many of the privateers who actually are quite good in building their own audiences and also their own individual brand and reach, which makes a lot of sense. Great that they do it, that it's a avenue you can take. But I also personally believe that it's good if we get more team structures where different people with different priorities in life, namely sports, and focusing just on their sport, can also make a living out of it. So that is why I'm personally in favor of teams coming to it. However, I think as an organizer, so a story Paul told me from, in particular, the UCI World Championship race, is how there were so many feed zones or feed areas, and as a privateer it was basically not manageable to have the same support as the people from the big national teams with proper support, so especially Belgium, Netherlands, and so there it becomes hard. So I think as an organizer in this sport where you have teams coming in and you have more of these structures but also a lot of privateers, I think striking the good balance with the rules, like saying, okay, there are only so and so many feed zones, and feeding. I mean, there was a big scandal, especially.
One of the requirements of Gravel Earth Series is that the event can only have one aid station that they can help you to have it fair for everybody. So for all the Gravel Earth Series that want to or the events that want to take part on Gravel Earth Series, one of the requirements to be part of it, it's only one aid station that you could get outside support.
Yeah. And I guess that's really good to level the playing field for all type of athletes.
Yeah.
And not force people into teams.
Yeah. And we are I like both things, like teams, but also privateers. And I love that sometimes privateers come together and make like a little team and help out. So it's nice to have them both. And I also like teams are different, because I think what worked really good for PAS team last year is that they could have their own sponsors as well. So you see the riders, their bikes are different because, okay, they're part of the team, but they can also have like kind of their sponsor. It gives them a bit of like freedom. And because I also think that gravel and gravel athletes are pretty big personalities. Mm-hmm. So it's nice for them to like show their personality with their bikes, with like different little things. It's not like a road team that they all look similar. Yeah. Like I used to do live streaming for the road races, and then it was so hard to take them apart because same helmet, same glasses, it it's difficult. And I think gravel, all of them have like a bit of their personality.
Yeah.
So,
which leads us to the privateers on the men's side that I look forward to see in your events. Nathan Haas, you already name dropped him because you see him riding around Girona. Also, one of the guys now moving from the road to gravel. And I think I'm curious how he will do. I don't know what you see on the streets.
Oh, just seeing Nathan around or in any event is just, he puts a smile on your face because he's just funny and he tries to have as much fun as possible. And then for brands, and he's just great. He does his content and has fun and tries to teach and show people how to do it and his way. So I see him a lot riding with Clara, with Morgan. So he wants to show them, help them, and he's a great ambassador for gravel sports. So
yeah, definitely. Then we already talked about Pete Stettiner focusing more on Gravel Earth Series next season. Great get, I would say, from the outside. Having him will definitely raise the profile of your series in the States. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely love him. He just has a great personality, and as well, you could tell in him, he just loves gravel, loves cycling, loves outside. He comes with his mechanic. He just makes the videos, makes it fun. He is a great racer, but also has fun and he's always searching for the local beer and the local places and the local food. So he just tries to embrace it. And it just, when you meet people like that, it just makes you love this community. And he's just also a great ambassador for it.
By the way, do you have a stance as a series on aero bars? Are they allowed, not allowed in your races? Is it different in different races?
No, in the class mark races that I know the rules, they're allowed. Yeah, why not?
Because how my mind works is Pete is an opponent of them in gravel. And then two other names I have here on my list I mentioned before, Drew Dillman and Chase Walk. And Chase in particular, he's the aero optimizer. He had the craziest bike builds, full disc wheels that he ran both at Unbound and Gravel Worlds in particular. So yeah, he makes crazy builds, really a tinkerer on the aerodynamic side in gravel, and also a cool personality to follow. I guess neither Drew nor him are going to be at the very, very front of the races, I would assume. I could be surprised, but they will bring their personality to it. And they already are on the record that they are going to do Lauf, Gravel Worlds, the Rift, and I guess they will also pick a third one from the races. And then let's see if they make it to the final in Spain.
Yeah, hopefully. It's just nice to have these big personalities around. And
and then two more names. So we have last year second placed Griffin Easter, who's going to do the several events of the series again this year. And my regular co-host over here, Paul Voss, who also will do a few of the races. And I think with that, competition is going to be strong.
Definitely. It's every year, just the professionals come. Gravel is getting really professional. The speeds they're doing, the trainings, the compromise. Yeah, it's going to be a special season. We saw it last year, and it was great. And I think every year it's just going to get better and better. And yeah.
Are there names on your list, people they are going to be in the series that we also should watch out for on the men's side?
Oh, and then I think Mattia the Marquis. He definitely want to watch. He just loves racing. He loves hard races as well. So that's why his event, the Hills, is going to be one to watch. I think he could do pretty good. He loves stage racing, different kind of racing. We saw Hans Becking last year getting his, starting to do some gravel. I just saw that they presented the team bikes and they also gave them gravel bikes. So might be possible that they're doing more events. He's
nice.
just his technique is incredible. So as many events and gravel events are technical and different and adventures, he could be one to watch as well.
Hey, this is Thomas from the future. And just as we shut down this podcast and I was talking off the air to Maya, she told me, oh, damn, I didn't mention two names that are also competing, one on the women's and one on the men's side. And it was just because she had so much on her mind that she didn't talk about it, but I'm free to share it. And this is what I hereby do. So Sofia Gomez Villafañe is going to come to the Trucker this year, and Keegan Swenson is going to join her as well. So the power couple of gravel coming to the Trucker. And while she didn't know any details, Maya said, well, it's possible that they will also do some of the US events. So let's see. Definitely the priority of both is going to be Lifetime, but they give Trucker a go, come there, and then let's see if they probably collect a few more points in other races to qualify for the series. Kind of big news. I was not aware of the fact that both come to the Trucker, and really interesting development, certainly. So I figured I'd share it with you. That is me from the future out over. Let's jump back in our conversation. Hey there. So this is me from the even further future. So we are doing some time traveling in this episode, but I am checking in because as it turns out, upon checking that Keegan really is confirmed, he is rumored but not confirmed to be doing the Trucker, whereas Sofia, really, she is confirmed, and she, like the other riders from the Specialized team, is going to do the Trucker 200. Not the 360, but the 200. Keegan, we shall see. And so with that said, now for real, back to our conversation. I believe we talked about the races. We also talked a fair bit left and right of the series and about the contenders. Now that we did all this, I have one final area that I would like to talk about with you, and that is pro participation versus mass participation. Because I believe that from a business standpoint, you definitely need the mass participation, but pros almost is like a marketing tool for your events, for the series to an extent. And making both audiences happy can sometimes be a challenge. We already touched upon some of these before. But if you wanted to make a pitch to a pro, say a top US gravel racer who didn't make it into Lifetime or so, and you would say, hey, that is why you should do the Gravel Earth series. How would you pitch it to somebody like this?
We've seen them with the years, no? Sarah Sturm came to track 2 years ago that she barely heard of it and heard of Classmark events. It's the years you start hearing a bit, but then once they come here, they always want to come back because it's just like a family, and the atmosphere and just the feeling of these events, it makes you addictive. So I would recommend to come and test them out and see how this series goes. And I think everybody will be hooked.
And I think you've never made it easier than with the calendar of this season for people to jump in the series and give it a go.
Yeah, we're trying to make it bigger and better and try to cover more of the world. Just make it a really unique series. So it's as we said at the beginning, is their trip of a lifetimes. And then there's so many places on your bucket list that now you have races to go, and then you could see the world on your gravel bike and make really cool memories and just spend time in nature.
So if I would be a pro, you would have convinced me to definitely give it a go. Sadly, I'm not. But anyways, as we alluded to, you have so many, even for a non-pro, non-competitive cyclist, you have great events. They are on the bucket list of many people. And I'll get to some in the future for sure.
We'll be waiting for you here.
Let's see whether or not in Germany at some point as well. With that said, Maja, did we skip anything, didn't touch upon anything that you think is important for the upcoming season?
No, I think we cover a lot. And I just want to let people know that come and try the events. And or if not, you can always see the live streamings and say hi. And if you have any questions, we're here for you. And just enjoy.
Where's the best place to follow the series? Instagram, YouTube? Where can people follow you?
We're making it, trying to do every channel. So YouTube, we'll do some videos, or we're doing short videos, longer videos. Instagram as well. We always put a bit of the news there. And also we have the web page, so you can have all the information in detail.
And we'll make sure to put all the links in the show notes of this episode so you can follow along. Maja, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing all the insights into the Gravel Earth series and the great work that you are doing over there. If you like this conversation as a listener, then consider probably supporting us on Patreon as well. Join our community. If you have questions that you want to chime in and discuss with like-minded people, we'd be super stoked to have you there as well. And talk to you next time. Take care.